Hey everyone, Simon here from Top Tennis Training and welcome to video number 3 from our Volley Blueprint course. In this video, we're going to break down exactly what is needed to become a dominant net player in tennis. Now, when most players think about finishing off points, they imagine hitting powerful serves or crunching forehand winners. What is very much overlooked by players of all levels is dominating the net. Someone who is able to close in, take time away from their opponents, and use the entire width of the tennis court. There are 3 main advantages of approaching a net. The first one is very simple. If you think about the geometry of a tennis court, the further back you stand on the court, the less angle you're able to use, simply because the net is blocking you from using short, acute angles from far back. So the closer you can get to the net, the more angles open up to you, and often you'll see pros hitting volley winners using softer field volleys that are directed towards the doubles alley instead of the baseline. So rather than relying on pure power, you're able to exploit your opponents using the space on a tennis court. The second advantage is by approaching the net, you're taking time away from your opponent. Instead of giving them on average 2 seconds between shots, you're now cutting that time in half to only 1 second. This means they'll feel rushed and often will panic and hit an error or give you an easy ball that you can put away. It's true that by coming in, you're also taking time away from yourself, but if you work on this with the drills and the tips that we cover inside the course, you'll adapt and it won't be an issue for you. The third advantage is you're greatly reducing the space that your opponent has to hit into. If you're standing 5 or 6 feet behind the baseline, there is no real pressure on your opponent. They have all the space they want and they are free to hit the ball anywhere on the court. When you attack the net in the right way, like we'll teach you inside the Volley Blueprint course, you'll force your opponents to hit into smaller spaces on the court, and many players hate having to hit a specific target, especially when there is someone standing at the net. So by coming in, you're putting huge pressure on your opponent to come up with great passing shots while also being rushed for time. The other major advantage is that by attacking shorter balls in a match, your opponent will quickly realize that they need to keep a good length on their shots, otherwise you'll punish them. If you don't attack those shorter balls, your opponents will feel like they don't have to hit their shots deep, and this will actually help them to loosen up and swing more freely because you're not punishing their balls that land short. But by attacking those balls, you're also applying pressure, and the result will be that your opponents get tighter and tighter, trying to hit the ball deep, and often breaking down because of this. In doubles, imagine being the player that your partner can rely on, being the one that all the players want to play with, because you're so effective at the net, because you're able to finish off the point quickly. Now you might be thinking, well Simon, I already know that I should get into the net more often, but I don't trust my volleying enough. And that's exactly why we have created this course. After going through the progressions and applying our teaching points, you'll be a much more confident net player. You'll be able to approach with confidence and know exactly where to position yourself to cover your opponent's best possible passing shots. You'll be able to hit every type of volley that you may have to. This includes the forehand and backhand half volley, the low volley on either side, the mid-height forehand and backhand volleys, the high ball on either side, and the overhead smash. Instead of fearing the net, you'll actually look forward to attacking and coming forward. You'll be actively looking for those chance balls and know exactly how to set up points with your net game. This course is your ultimate guide to improving and mastering every part of your net game. If you were to have private lessons, one-on-one with a coach, it would take them countless hours to teach you everything that we cover inside the course, not to mention thousands of dollars. There are 2 ways you can learn and improve. The first one is through trial and error, experimenting on your own and finding out what works and what doesn't work. This method tends to take much longer than the other way, but some people prefer doing this as it costs them very little money. It does, however, cost them countless wasted hours. Hours that they could have spent actually improving if they had a blueprint to follow. The second method is where you have someone teach you. This of course costs more money in the short term, but it saves you your valuable time and you'll normally improve at a much faster rate. The trouble with conventional lessons, however, is that in a typical lesson you might work on 5 different things. Often a coach will give you a few pointers on a particular stroke without going into the ins and outs of it. Normally, you'll have forgotten those tips by the next lesson and you'll be back at square one. Week after week, coaches will say the same tips over and over again as the student has not fully mastered it. The other issue is often coaches will give you a few things to work on at once. Take the serve for instance. You might hear a coach saying, keep your head up, extend all the way, get a good leg drive, don't toss the ball too high, and 5 other things. A person can only focus on 1 or 2 things at one time. In my experience, using progressive drills is the quickest way for anyone to learn and master each part of a stroke. Trying to do everything all at once simply does not work. By using progressions, you can truly focus in on that one area, and once you feel like you have mastered it, you then progress on to the next step. Inside the course, we'll break down each volley into progressions. You can work on each progression at your own pace and move on when you feel ready. You can also view the same teaching points over and over again whenever you need to remind yourself of them, saving you tons of money in the long run. So now you have a choice to make. You can either keep doing what you've been doing, stay on the same path, and you'll keep getting the same results. Or you can join the full course and let us help you become a dominant net player. The choice is yours. So all that's left to do is click on the link below this video and we'll see you inside the full course at lesson 1. We can't wait to help you become a better net player.